All right, to watch this video for Wednesday, May 25th. Let's look at the SPY. Again, remember a few days ago, looked like we were breaking down in a head and shoulders pattern. And just like that, a few days later, decent volume today. I mean, compared to yesterday, but yesterday traded like Christmas Day. Still pretty impressive, back up near this trend line. Let me pan out a little bit and show you that trend line. The market rarely shocks me, but I got to tell you, I'd be shocked if it gets up through that trend line and breaks out again, but anything can happen. So certainly the bull's in charge today, and we'll see where it goes from there. I play everything on a day-by-day basis, and I'm in cash every night, so I don't care that much about the overall market, but you got to check it. Momo, I'm not in love with this one, but after getting killed, some of these Chinese internet stocks then bounced. It's having trouble with the 13 area. It looked like it was rolling over again, but then it's right back up. So switching to 60-minute candles to kind of show you a better view how that 13 resistance over that, and actually it's a little higher. I mean, 13.11 I think is the highest it's gotten since this bounce here. If you get over that, it might go. Closed at 12.90 today. Not in love with it, but I'm going to keep it on watch. PRGN. Let me zoom in a little bit here. Had this big pop. Had big pop here, here. Lower high here, and another lower high here. But if you go to intraday, really strong finish there on pretty big volume. That's a 15-minute candle. So want to watch that one for potential. I mean, this doesn't look like a big move here, but it went from $1.06 to $1.98. That's a really nice, almost a double, right? And now you're down a few days, found support at the 20-day and closed strong. So definitely want to keep an eye on that one tomorrow. That's PRGN. GBSN, this one you got to zoom in on. You might wonder why I keep putting this one on watch. Well, today is a good example. We had a really nice move in this one today, and I was able to call this one. This I teach you one of my favorite setups, right? And it's as simple as this. A recent high flyer. I would say write this down, but it's so simple you won't need to. A recent high flyer. When I say recent, I mean, and preferably low float. When I say recent, I mean within the past four days tops, really. I don't like to go back farther than that. That was about 4 days ago, okay? 4 or 5 days, but you don't want to go back 3 weeks and think you're going to get any kind of move on a trade like this. But 4 days ago, this made a monster move. And so then these are 5-minute candles, so 5, 10, 15, 20, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So about 25 minutes in, so almost a half hour in, you're in a nice narrow range. Look at the high was 237, the low 226. So it's in an 11-cent range for 25 minutes. Again, recent high flyer, so I called it long if it got through the high of the day, right? And actually, when it got to 235, I said I even like it here with a low of day stop. But the official call was typed out with a bell alert and said 238. I believe it said 228 stop. There was the trigger, and look at this thing. It just ripped. So from 238 on a dime risk, it went to 345. That's like a 44% move on a dime risk. And over a dollar move on a $2.38 entry is a really nice move. So it's back on watch tomorrow because it did give back. Let's go back to 15s here. It did give back some of this nice move in a slow afternoon grind, which I actually like because that means I could play it again tomorrow without feeling as much like I'm chasing. All right, so let me zoom in a little bit here. So you got this big pop, few days lower, secondary pop, maybe a red to green, something like that tomorrow in GBSN. But it was nice to us today. Weight Watchers, I took a couple trades in this one today, and I made several $100s, but not what I thought I was going to make, right? I thought this thing was going to really break out. I still like the daily chart a lot. It just didn't go on an intraday basis. But up here on May 5th, it gapped up, I think, on earnings, all right, and put in a high of 1458. Then today, gapped up out of a couple weeks worth of trading with only that recent high above, and then maybe it can take off. So I'm going to watch it again tomorrow for a break of 1437. If you want to put that in your notes, put 1438. That is a potential catalyst. I don't live and die by that number, but it's that will be the number that breaks today's high, knowing that 1459 is a secondary catalyst. And that's never a bad idea to put that in your notes. You can also just draw lines on your chart, so then tomorrow when you're watching a trade, you'll be able to see the resistance line and where it might break out above. All right, so anyway, I like the extra volume today. I like the breakout, and I like the fact that it held up pretty well. I think there's a lot of shorts in this one. Don't quote me on that, but it moves pretty nicely when it gets moving. Seed, a nice little volume spike today and trying to break out of a couple weeks worth of trading. So I want to watch SEED for a potential. I mean, it had a huge move back here and a decent secondary move over the next couple weeks, but I want to watch that one for a follow-through day, maybe a red to green tomorrow. Mobileye, MBLY, recent highs here, 37.82, and it took that out briefly today, went to 38.16. So I mean, tried to break out of a couple weeks worth of trading on a little bit more volume than usual. So I want to watch that for a continuation of that, maybe a possible breakout in Mobileye, MBLY. VHC had this gap up here, lower high, and then it's really been in a tight range ever since. He had a nice volume spike back here in late April that took it to 527. Got a lower high here in mid to early May, and then we took out that lower high right here on Monday, and then today a quiet inside day. So this one's interesting. I like it over today's high, which is, so I thought I had these numbers written down. VHC 486 would be a break of today's high, knowing that for, Monday's high was 498. So 499 would be your secondary catalyst. You might have some issues if any of this gets going. You might have some issues with the whole number 5, and if it can get through 5, you look to the left, and maybe it makes a run to that 527. If you get over that, anything could happen. So, nice support below, nice pop here, and then an inside day today. I like the setup. It's not my favorite trader by any stretch, but we'll keep our eyes on it. Lumber Liquidators LL, gap down on earnings, I think. Don't quote me on that, but gap down this day and then ran, and really it's been inside this day ever since. But it's really putting a lot of pressure on this $12 area. On the next day after earnings, it had a high of 12.26. Then I guess this was Friday, had a high of 12.16. On Monday, 12.10, and today 12.10. So that's where I get my numbers from. I like it at 12.11. It's a 2-day high break, knowing that 12.17 breaks this recent high, and here it is on 60-minute candles. So you can kind of see, you can get up over that area. This one might get going. Let's see, horizontal lines. All right, so I like it up over that area. My first catalyst to buy it will be 12.11, a break of the 2-day high. Remember, I say this all the time in these videos, don't live and die by those numbers. It might gap down and open at 11 tomorrow, so if it does that and then runs all the way to 12.11, I won't be buying it, right? Because it will have already made a $1.11 move or whatever it is. So just keep that in mind. These are just numbers to watch, but I also take a good hard look at how it's trading on an intraday basis. Getting long-winded here. URI spiked up here on nice volume, hit 66.47, and it's kind of flagging below that. Today is above the last few days' high, so I like it over today's high, which is 66.04 is a break of today's high, knowing that that might get it through 66.47, this little flag, and then maybe make a run. So you got the volume spike here, the volume spike here, and a tight flag. So URI is interesting. Couple more. CSLT, back on bounce watch, no trades in it today. Had it on bounce watch for today. 15-minute candle show it put in its high early on, then sold off, and then a lower high here. So it's kind of interesting over 421, and certainly interesting over 431. So keep those numbers in your notes. And then lastly, SYNC. Nice bounce off the recent, after the gap up, you had the lows here, and it almost got there, and a nice strong move today. I don't like to chase, and it already feels like chasing, but after the volume spike here, it's kind of flagging below 310. So this 310 area was resistance back here. I'm showing you 15-minute candles going back about 5 days. So up over 310, this might have a second day move in it. All right, not in love with that one. We'll also be watching gappers, adding gappers in the morning to our watch list. Hopefully catch a gap play as well. I'm going to leave it at that. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And we'll talk to you tomorrow.